In this special video, I'll show you 11 things that a wise person never does or says. You will be surprised by the last one. But before we start, let me tell you an essential story that will help you understand the great lesson of this video. Pay close attention because it is very important. Imagine a small village where an old gardener lived, known for his magnificent gardens and profound wisdom. Everyone in the village turned to him, not just for gardening advice, but also for his unique perspective on life. The elder had a special way of imparting teachings through the beauty of his gardens. One day, a restless and curious young man decided to visit the old man in search of guidance. This young man was known for his contagious energy and ability to connect with everyone in the village. However, he felt he needed something deeper in his life, something that would truly give meaning to his days. After listening to the young man and observing him carefully, the elder proposed a challenge: spend a week working together in the gardens, but without speaking. Each day at dawn, the elder would share a life lesson while they worked in silence. The young man accepted the challenge with enthusiasm, intrigued by what he could learn. Day 1. The importance of silence. When the sun began to illuminate the village, the elder took the young man to a special corner of the garden. There he showed how to carefully prune the roses without saying a word. Silence allows us to hear beyond words, the elder seemed to say with his gestures. Learn to be present and observe the world around you with attention. Day 2. The wisdom of discretion. The next day, while planting new seeds in the garden, the elder showed how to carefully choose locations for each plant. Not everyone needs to know your plans, he seemed to indicate with a smile. Let your actions speak for you and act with prudence. Discretion is a virtue that protects your projects and relationships. Day 3. Cultivating positivity. On the third day, while watering the flowers, the elder showed how to keep the garden vibrant and healthy. Avoid sowing seeds of negativity, he might have expressed with affectionate gestures. Increase joy and gratitude in your life. Positivity is like the sun that makes every corner of your being flourish. Day 4. Selfless generosity. Observe how nature gives without expecting anything in return, the elder indicated while they fed the birds in the garden. True generosity seeks no recognition. Do good for the sake of good itself, and let your actions be a gift to the world. Day 5. Empathy and understanding. On the fifth day, while caring for an old tree in the garden, the elder showed the importance of understanding the needs of each plant and living being. Avoid talking about others' mistakes, he might have suggested with a compassionate look. We are all on our own journey. Instead of criticizing, seek to understand and support. Day 6. Facing fears with courage. On the sixth day, while working on a stone path in the garden, the elder showed how to face challenges with bravery and determination. Do not let fear paralyze your path, he seemed to say with his serene presence. Face your fears with courage and discover the strength within you. Day 7. The true wealth of the heart. On the last day, while contemplating the garden in silence, the elder pointed to the beauty that manifested before them. True wealth is not measured in material possessions, he seemed to indicate with a serene smile. Find abundance in your heart and the relationships you cultivate. This is the true essence of life. At the end of the week, the young man felt deeply transformed by the elder's silent teachings. He learned that sometimes the most valuable lessons are conveyed without words, through actions and presence. Since then, he carried the elder's wisdom with him, finding peace and purpose in every step of his journey. This story illustrates the 7 things we should keep to ourselves, not as secrets, but as principles for a harmonious and respectful life. Others' secrets, personal plans, complaints, acts of kindness, others' flaws, personal fears, and our material possessions. Now that we've learned these 7 important things, let's look at the 11 things a wise person never does or says. Before diving into the first one, if you find value in these videos, please subscribe and click the bell to stay updated. Let's begin. Number 1. Gossip and spreading rumors. Imagine this. You're at the office having a coffee when suddenly you hear, "Did you hear what happened to Maria?" Your heart races and curiosity awakens. Gossip is like a tempting sweet, delightful at first, but then it leaves a bitter taste in your mouth. Wise people know that gossip is a double-edged sword, but why are we so attracted to it? According to a study from the University of California, Gossip occupies 65% of our conversations. Incredible, it seems we're addicted to, "Did you know that?" Now, not all gossip is bad. Anthropologist Robin Dunbar argues that gossip played a crucial role in our evolution, helping us form social bonds and transmit important information. But like everything in life, excess is the problem. So, how do we identify when we're crossing the line? Here are some warning signs. Sign 1. If what you're about to say would make the person you're talking about uncomfortable, it's best to keep it to yourself. Sign 2. If the information is not first-hand, it's probably best not to spread it. Sign 3. If you find yourself enjoying others' misfortunes, it's time to take a break and reflect. But let's be honest, sometimes it's hard to resist the temptation. It's like when they tell you, "Don't think about a pink elephant," and the first thing that comes to your mind is, exactly, a pink elephant. The key is to redirect that energy. Instead of spreading rumors, how about sharing good news? As Socrates said, the way to gain a good reputation is to endeavor to be what you desire to appear. Now let's talk practical solutions. Number 1, the 7-day challenge. For a week, challenge yourself not to say anything negative about anyone. You'll see how your perspective changes. Number 2, the positive twist. When someone tries to involve you in gossip, change the conversation to something positive about that person. Number 3, the conscious pause. Before speaking, take a deep breath. Those seconds can make the difference between spreading gossip or not. Finally, number 4, the detective game. Instead of accepting gossip as truth, question it. Ask, "How do you know that?" Or "Did you speak directly to that person?" But don't feel bad if you sometimes fall into the gossip trap. We're human after all. The important thing is to recognize it and work to improve. As Maya Angelou said, "When you know better, you do better." Number 2, rash words. Have you ever felt like your words come out of your mouth before your brain can process them? Don't worry, it happens to the best of us. But truly intelligent people have learned to master the art of strategic silence. Let's dive into the fascinating world of rash words and how to avoid them. As the Greek philosopher Epictetus once said, "We have 2 ears and 1 mouth, so that we can listen twice as much as we speak." And he was right. A study from Harvard University revealed that people who think before they speak are perceived as more intelligent and trustworthy. Who knew that silence could be so powerful? But how can we avoid blurting out those rash words we often regret later? Here's a trick. Before speaking, especially in tense situations, take a pause and count to 5. It sounds simple, right? But those 5 seconds can make the difference between a thoughtful response and a comment you'll regret for weeks. Imagine you're in a heated argument with your partner. You're about to blurt out that hurtful comment you know will sting, but you hold back, count to 5, and in that time, your brain can process the situation more rationally. The result? A more mature and constructive response that could save your relationship. That's the power of 5 seconds. But it's not just about counting to 5. It's also important to develop what psychologists call mindfulness. It's like being the conductor of your own thoughts and emotions. When you practice mindfulness, you're more aware of your words before they leave your mouth. It's like having a quality filter for your thoughts. The famous psychologist Daniel Goleman, author of the bestseller Emotional Intelligence, suggests that people with high emotional intelligence are better at managing their impulses, including the impulse to speak without thinking. So, if you want to avoid rash words, working on your emotional intelligence is a good place to start. Another useful technique is to think before you speak. No, I don't mean just thinking in general, but using the acronym THINK, T for true, H for helpful, I for inspiring, N for necessary, and K for kind. If what you're about to say doesn't meet at least 3 of these criteria, it might be better to keep it to yourself. It's like having your own personal ethics committee for your words. Remember, words have power. They can build bridges or dig trenches, heal wounds or open them, inspire greatness or sow doubt. As the writer Mark Twain once said, "The difference between the right word and the almost right word is the difference between lightning and a lightning bug." So the next time you feel the words about to shoot out of your mouth, remember, breathe, count to 5, practice mindfulness, use your emotional intelligence, and apply the think filter. Your relationships, your career, and your peace of mind will thank you. Number 3, intimate financial details. Imagine your bank account is like a vault full of treasures. Would you give the combination to anyone who asked? Of course not. When it comes to money, discretion is not only elegant, but also smart. Warren Buffett, the Oracle of Omaha, once said, "Never tell anyone how much you make. It's bad manners." And he was right. Sharing intimate financial details is like inviting all your friends to rummage through your wallet. They might find something interesting, but do you really want them to? A recent study from the University of Chicago revealed that people who keep their financial matters private tend to have healthier and less conflict-ridden relationships. Surprising? Not really. Think about it. How many times have you seen someone change their attitude towards another person upon discovering how much they earn? But it's not just about avoiding envy or judgment. Keeping your finances private also protects you from potential scammers and opportunists. It's like wearing an invisible bulletproof vest. No one knows you have it, but it keeps you safe. Now, this doesn't mean you should become an impenetrable human fortress. The key is balance. Share financial information when necessary, like with your partner or financial advisor, but keep the juiciest details to yourself. And speaking of juicy details, did you know that even the most famous celebrities zealously guard their financial secrets? Tom Hanks once joked, saying, "If I told you how much I make, I'd have to hire bodyguards for my wallet." And while he said it in jest, there's a lot of truth in those words. But what do you do if someone pressures you to share your financial details? Well, you can always use the old trick of changing the subject. How much do I make? Oh, look, a flying squirrel. It might not be the most sophisticated tactic, but sometimes simple is most effective. Seriously, learning to gracefully deflect questions about money is an art in itself. You can respond with something vague like, "Enough to live comfortably," or "I'm grateful for what I have." These answers are like an invisible shield. They protect your privacy without seeming rude. Remember, your financial situation is like your underwear, necessary, personal, and best kept out of public view. Unless, of course, you're a Calvin Klein supermodel. In that case, you probably make enough not to worry about this advice. In summary, a wise person knows that intimate financial details are just that, intimate. Keeping them private not only protects you, but also gives you the power to control your financial narrative. So, the next time someone tries to verbally rummage through your wallet, remember, a little mystery is not only elegant, it's also smart. Number 4, provocations. Have you ever found yourself in a situation where someone tried to provoke you? That awkward moment where you feel your blood boil and the acidic words are about to leave your mouth? But wait, before falling into that trap, let's explore why intelligent people avoid provocations as if they were a plate of broccoli at a children's party. Imagine that provocations are like those annoying commercials that interrupt your favorite show. What do? Change the channel, right? Well, wise people do the same with provocations. They simply change the subject. But why is it so important to avoid falling into these verbal traps? It turns out our brain is wired to react to provocations as if they were social threats. It's like someone saying, "Beware, tiger," in the middle of the jungle. Your survival instinct kicks in and boom, you're ready to attack. However, this is where emotional intelligence comes into play. It's like having a superpower that allows you to see through others' intentions. Emotionally intelligent people understand that behind a provocation there is usually insecurity, pain, or boredom. It's like they have emotional X-ray vision, don't you think? Now, don't think that avoiding provocations makes you weak. On the contrary, it requires more strength than giving in to them. It's like resisting that last piece of pizza when you're on a diet. Tough, but you feel like a champion afterward. But how can we apply this in our daily lives? Well, the next time someone tries to provoke you, imagine you're a duck. Yes, a duck. Why? Because water rolls off their feathers without soaking them. In the same way, let provocations roll off you without affecting you. Another technique is to use humor. It's like having a shield of jokes that deflect provocations. When someone tries to irritate you, respond with a light-hearted joke. This not only disarms the provocateur, but also eases the tension in the environment. It's like being a comic ninja in the middle of a verbal battle. Remember, every time you avoid a provocation, you're building an emotional muscle. It's like going to the gym, but for your brain. And the best part is you don't have to lift weights or sweat. Just stay calm and smile. So the next time someone tries to provoke you, remember, you're smarter than that. Keep calm, smile, and move on. Your future self will thank you. Number 5. High exposure on social media. Have you ever wondered if sharing every detail of your life on social media is really a good idea? Imagine your life as a house. Social media is like the windows of that house. Do you want everyone to be able to look inside? Probably not, right? Well, that's exactly what we do when we overshare online. But don't worry, we're not here to demonize social media. They are incredible tools when used wisely. The key is finding the balance between sharing and protecting. Did you know that even technology experts are cautious about what they post online? Many of them limit their social media activity. Why? Because they understand the risks better than anyone. Think of your posts as digital tattoos. Once you share them, they can stay there forever. That embarrassing selfie from Saturday night's party could come back to haunt you at your next job interview, but it's not all bad news. There are smart ways to use social media while protecting your privacy. For example, have you considered having separate profiles for your personal and professional life? It's like having two different wardrobes, one for the office and one for the weekend. Now let's talk about passwords. I know it's not the most exciting topic in the world, but believe me, a strong password is like a good deodorant. You don't realize its importance until you don't have it. Use unique and complex combinations for each account. And please, password 123 doesn't count as a secure password. Another thing to consider is geolocation. It's great to tag your photos with the exact location, but do you really want everyone to know where you are all the time? It's like putting a GPS on your back and giving strangers the remote control. And speaking of strangers, how many of your friends on social media do you actually know? It's easy to fall into the trap of accumulating contacts like they're trading cards, but remember, each new friend is potentially a new window into your private life. Oh, and let's not forget about those famous privacy policies. Yes, those long texts that no one reads. Well, maybe you should start reading them, or at least look for reliable summaries. It's like reading the ingredients of what you eat, but for your digital life. In summary, using social media smartly isn't about living in fear or disappearing from the digital world. It's about being aware and taking control. Think before you post, be selective with your connections, and keep your personal data as protected as your toothbrush. Number 6. Lying. Have you ever wondered why some people seem to have a magnet for trouble? Well, today we're diving into one of the most dangerous habits someone can have: lying. Yes, that little act of verbal juggling that sometimes seems harmless, but can turn into a giant snowball rolling downhill. Imagine you're building a house of cards. Each lie is a card you add to the structure. At first it seems stable, even impressive, but with each new lie the house gets taller and more unstable. And you know what happens to houses of cards, right? One puff and poof, everything collapses. Now, we're not saying you've never told a little white lie. We've all done it at some point. Yes, Mom, I ate all my vegetables, or sure, honey, I love how that shirt looks on you. But there's a big difference between an occasional white lie and making lying a lifestyle. The thing is, lying is like using cheap perfume to cover up a bad smell. It might work for a moment, but in the end, the odor always reveals itself. And believe me, no one wants to be around someone who reeks of dishonesty. Why do we lie? Sometimes it's out of fear, other times to avoid conflict, and occasionally just because it seems easier than telling the truth. However, a smart person knows that honesty, although sometimes uncomfortable, always yields better results in the long run. Think of your relationships as a bank account. Every time you're honest, you make a deposit. Every lie is a withdrawal. If you keep lying, you'll eventually find yourself in the red, without anyone's trust. This doesn't mean you have to go around shooting out truths like a human lie detector. Emotional intelligence plays a crucial role here. It's about knowing when it's appropriate to be honest and when it's better to just keep your mouth shut. For example, if your friend asks if you like their new haircut, and it looks like they fought with a lawnmower, you might not need to go into graphic details. A simple "it's different" might suffice. The key is finding the balance between honesty and kindness. As a wise person once said, "Truth without tact is cruelty, but tact without truth is manipulation." So the next time you're tempted to lie, ask yourself, is it worth risking my integrity for this? Am I willing to carry the weight of this lie? Because believe me, lies are like baggage at an airport. They always weigh more than you think, and you end up paying an excess baggage fee. Number 7. Empty commitments. Imagine you're at a party and a friend asks for your help moving next weekend. Without thinking twice, you say yes, even though you know you already have other plans. Sound familiar? Well, you just fell into the trap of empty commitments. Empty commitments are like bounced checks. They seem good at the moment, but when it comes time to cash them, there's nothing behind them. And just like bounced checks, they can cause us a lot of trouble. Why do we fall into this trap? It turns out that our brains are wired to seek social approval. Saying yes to everything seems like an easy way to please others, but in the long run, this strategy can be costly. Imagine your brain is like a bank. Every time you make a promise, you're making a deposit into someone else's trust account, but if you don't follow through, you're making a massive withdrawal. And like any bank, if you make too many withdrawals, you'll end up in the red. So how can we avoid falling into the trap of empty commitments? Here are some tips. Number 1. Think before you speak. Before saying yes to something, take a moment to reflect if you can really fulfill it. Number 2. Learn to say no. It's not easy, I know, but it's a crucial skill. Remember that an honest no is better than an empty yes. Number 3. Be realistic with your time. You're not a superhero. Accept that you have limitations and plan accordingly. Number 4. Communicate clearly. If you're not sure you can fulfill something, express that. People will appreciate your honesty. Lastly, number 5. Follow through on what you promise. If you commit to something, do your best to follow through. Your reputation will thank you. Remember, wise people know that a promise is a serious commitment. It's not just a word thrown to the wind. It's a verbal contract that can strengthen or destroy relationships. Even in the business world, the importance of keeping promises is fundamental. Warren Buffett, the famous investor, once said, "It takes 20 years to build a reputation and 5 minutes to ruin it." And much of that reputation is based on keeping promises. So the next time you're tempted to make a thoughtless promise, remember, your words have weight. They're not balloons you can release into the wind and forget. They're anchors that keep you connected to others. A smart person evaluates their commitments carefully, doesn't promise the moon and stars knowing they can barely offer a candle. Instead, they promise little and deliver much, building a solid reputation and lasting relationships. Number 8. Mockery. Imagine for a moment a world where laughter never comes at someone else's expense. Sounds utopian, right? But we're not as far from that reality as you might think. Brilliant minds have discovered something fascinating. Mockery says more about the person who mocks than the one who is mocked. Think about the last time you mocked someone. What did you really feel? Superiority? Insecurity? Psychology teaches us that mockery is often a defense mechanism. It's like our brain saying, if I laugh at them, no one will laugh at me. But what if I told you there's a better way to protect yourself? Truly intelligent people have discovered the secret. Empathy is the new superpower. Instead of mocking, they choose to put themselves in the other person's shoes. And no, you don't have to be a genius to do this. You just need to be willing to see beyond the surface. But what should you do if someone mocks you? Here comes Stoic wisdom. Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher emperor, had a trick up his sleeve. He said that the best revenge is not to be like your enemy. In other words, when someone mocks you, the best response is not to react as they expect. Imagine the scene. Someone makes a mocking comment about your outfit. Instead of retaliating or sinking into shame, you smile and say, "Thanks for noticing. I love experimenting with fashion." Boom! You've disarmed the mockery with grace and confidence. But let's go further. What if, instead of just defending yourself, you used this moment to grow? Every mockery can be an opportunity to practice patience, understanding, and self-control. It's like a free emotional gym, and you have a VIP pass. Now, we're not saying you should become an emotionless robot. Feeling pain or discomfort in the face of mockery is completely normal. The key is in how you handle these feelings. Intelligent people know that their emotions are like the weather. They pass. You don't have to react to every cloud that appears in your emotional sky. And here comes the most interesting part. When you stop mocking others, something magical begins to happen. The world around you starts to change. People feel more comfortable around you. Conversations become deeper and more meaningful. It's like you've unlocked a new level in the game of life. But beware, this doesn't mean you have to lose your sense of humor. Laughter remains one of the best medicines out there. The difference is in laughing with others, not at others. It's a subtle but powerful change. So next time you feel tempted to mock someone, take a pause, breathe deeply and ask yourself, what would a truly intelligent person say in this situation? You might be surprised by the answer. Number 9. Disrespect for beliefs and religions. Have you ever found yourself in an uncomfortable situation when someone questions your religious beliefs? Imagine you're in a group conversation and someone starts criticizing your faith. What do? Do you get defensive like a cornered cat, or do you handle the situation with the calm of a Buddhist monk? The answer might surprise you. Wise people understand that religious beliefs are like ice cream. Everyone has their favorite flavor, and there's no one flavor that's objectively better than the others. Instead of trying to convince everyone that vanilla ice cream is superior, they respect that others prefer chocolate or even pistachio. But why is this respect so important? It turns out that religious beliefs are as deeply rooted in our brains as our love for cat memes. Studies have shown that when people talk about religion, the same brain areas associated with personal identity are activated. So, when you criticize someone's religion, it's like telling them their face is ugly. No wonder people get defensive, right? Intelligent people know that true power lies in curiosity. Instead of judging, they ask. Instead of preaching, they listen. It's like being a spiritual detective, but without the hat and pipe. Imagine you're facing someone with beliefs very different from your own. Instead of saying, "You're wrong and here's why," try saying, "That sounds interesting, can you tell me more?" It's amazing how a simple question can transform a potential holy war into a fascinating conversation. And here comes the master trick. When you show respect for others' beliefs, you open the door to deeper understanding and genuine connection. This doesn't mean you have to agree with everything, but it does mean you value the diversity of thoughts and experiences. Wise people not only respect others' beliefs, but also recognize their value. Each religion is like a unique piece of a cosmic puzzle. It might not fit perfectly into your worldview, but it certainly adds color and depth to the overall picture. So, next time you find yourself in a discussion about religion, remember, it's not about winning a debate, but gaining understanding. Who knows? You might discover that you have more in common with that person than you thought. After all, we're all on this crazy journey called life, trying to make sense of things. Intelligent people treat religious beliefs with the same care they would a newly discovered dinosaur egg, with respect, curiosity, and perhaps a bit of awe. Because at the end of the day, whether you believe in one God, many gods, or none, what really matters is how you treat others. Number 10. Unintelligent management of personal dissatisfactions. Ever felt like your job is consuming you from the inside? Don't worry, you're not alone. Imagine your job is a pressure cooker. If you leave it on the stove unattended, what do you think will happen? Yes, it will explode, leaving a mess in the kitchen. Well, your complaints are like that steam building up. The question is how you release that pressure in a controlled way. First, take a deep breath. Yes, you heard it right. Before you let out that complaint on the tip of your tongue, take a moment to breathe. Did you know that just 60 seconds of deep breathing can significantly reduce your stress levels? It's like having a superpower, only instead of flying, you keep your cool. Now think, is it really necessary to share this complaint? Sometimes we just need to vent and that's okay. But other times, complaining only makes things worse. It's like scratching a mosquito bite. It feels good for a moment, but then it just itches more. If you decide that your complaint deserves to be heard, here's the trick. Turn it into a constructive proposal. Instead of saying, "I hate this project," try saying, "I think we could improve this project if..." See the difference? It's like turning lemons into lemonade, but professionally. And speaking of professionalism, choose wisely who you share your concerns with. Your best friend at work might be great for gossip, but they might not be the best choice for solving workplace problems. Look for someone who can actually do something about it. It's like choosing the right doctor. You wouldn't go to a dentist for back pain, right? Remember, constant complaints can be contagious, and not in a good way. It's like an emotional cold that spreads through the office. Before you know it, everyone is sneezing negativity. And who wants to work in an environment like that? No one, I guarantee. So instead of complaining about what you can't control, propose a solution if you don't like how something is being done. If someone is bothering you, try talking directly to that person. It's like being the captain of your own ship in a storm. You can't control the weather, but you can steer your ship. And if all else fails, remember, you can always look for another job. Sometimes, the best solution is a change of scenery, just like changing the channel when the movie you're watching isn't good. You don't have to stay stuck watching something you don't like. Number 11. Spreading confidential information of others. Now, we're not saying you should become a walking tomb. The key is to know what information is appropriate to share and what is not. It's like having a mental filter that separates harmless gossip from state secrets. And here's the interesting part. Maintaining confidentiality not only benefits others, but also you. You become someone who can be trusted. And that, my friend, is worth more than gold. It's like having a social superpower, the ability to make people feel safe around you. So the next time someone confides a secret to you, imagine they are handing you a delicate crystal. If you handle it with care, it will remain radiant. But if you let it fall, it will shatter into 1,000 pieces and be nearly impossible to recover. In summary, a wise person understands that secrets are like soap bubbles, beautiful while they last, but once they burst, they disappear forever. So, are you ready to become the most trustworthy guardian of secrets in the world? Remember, in the game of life, sometimes the one who keeps silent not only wins, but also earns the respect of all. In summary, we've seen that an intelligent person avoids saying certain things that can compromise their reputation and relationships. Firstly, gossip and rumor spreading are harmful, although tempting, as they can destroy trust and harmony in any environment. Studies show that gossip occupies a large part of our conversations, but it's vital to know when to stop. Intelligent people share good news instead of rumors and challenge themselves not to say anything negative about others. Secondly, hasty words are like arrows shot without a target, causing unexpected damage. Counting to 5 before speaking and practicing mindfulness are recommended strategies to avoid these slips. Financial privacy is also crucial. Sharing financial details can lead to judgments and unwanted problems. It's wiser to keep these details to yourself unless absolutely necessary. Teasing is an emotional trap we should avoid by changing the subject or responding with humor. On social media, it's essential to find a balance between sharing and protecting your privacy, using strong passwords, and being selective with your connections. Lying may seem like a quick solution, but it compromises trust and integrity in the long run. It's better to be honest and kind, even if it means facing temporary discomforts. Empty commitments, or promises we can't keep, are comparable to bad checks. Learning to say no honestly and planning your time better are fundamental steps to avoid this trap. When it comes to mockery, empathy is the key. Responding with grace and self-confidence can disarm the provocateur and turn the situation into an opportunity for personal growth. Finally, respecting others' beliefs and religions is essential for maintaining harmony and mutual understanding. Everyone has their own convictions, and respecting these differences is a sign of true intelligence. In short, intelligent people know that their words and actions have power and choose to use them to build bridges and promote collective well-being. Thank you for following this video, and we hope these valuable tips contribute to your personal growth and more authentic and healthy relationships. If you like the content, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and activate the bell to receive notifications of new videos. Share your reflections and experiences in the comments below. We'd love to hear from you. See you next time, and remember, words have power. Use them wisely.